Shalom, today is April 30th, and it is 207 days since Israel is at war. Let's take a look into Israeli newspapers to what Israelis are reading today. Yamim Goraliim, critical days. It reads, the Iska, the negotiations, and the disputes about it. So Israel is waiting for Hamas's answer to release 33 hostages for thousands of terrorists and 40 days of ceasefire. What a generous offer from Israel. These talks right now are happening in Cairo between Israelis and the Egyptians, and waiting for Hamas's answer. Ha'pe'ula b'Rafah, another critical issue, the action or the operation in Rafah. An Israeli source says, we are getting ready, we're fully ready for an operation in Rafah once we have the green light, while America and Egypt are trying to block Israel from doing that. Saudi Arabia is trying to normalize their relations with Israel through the US, and there's still a concern in The Hague as they're issuing arrest warrants against Prime Minister Netanyahu and other top officials in Israel because of their war crimes against Hamas. For the first article, halachatz al Hamas, the pressure of Hamas on Hamas is on. And there's negotiations in Cairo, in Hebrew you say kahir. Israel is getting ready to send a delegation for talks. They're not optimistic, but they're going to send a delegation anyway, it says. Let's take a look at the numbers of this outline of this deal. Ikarei ha'hatza'a hamitzrit, the main points of the Egyptian offer that was put together with Israel. The release of 20 to 33 Israeli hostages from the Hamas captivity. According to women, soldiers, elderly, there are different categories. Now, for every Israeli hostage, between 30 to 50 terrorists will be released. Terrorists that are in prison in Israel, and some of them have blood on their hands, meaning they actually murdered people. Now, in addition to the release of the hostages and the release of terrorists in exchange, there will be a ceasefire. Israel will cease her fire for 20 to 40 days, depending on the number of hostages released by Hamas. And the last part of this is that the IDF will withdraw from the Netzarim corridor. Right now that Israel is there, and they're blocking the Gaza citizens from moving from south back north to their homes. Well, the IDF will move away from there and will allow the Gaza citizens to go back to their homes to the north. Now that will include Hamas people, and that's how the northern part of the Gaza Strip will not be cleaned anymore from Hamas. So that's a big one that Israel is agreeing to. Yesterday, there was a big demonstration in Tel Aviv for the release of the hostages. Haaretz has a very good photo here. Okay, it's late at night, a lot of people, and in the middle of the Hebrew, it says, it's large letters on the ground, Rafah יכולה לחכות, Rafah can wait, הם לא, they cannot. And they mean the hostages. So they're saying, well, if you go into Rafah, the families are actually saying, go for a deal, no matter how terrible the deal is, it's not that great, go for the deal, we want the hostages out, the operation in Rafah can wait. While others are saying actually operating in Rafah is pressuring Hamas more, and that will help the hostages being released, or hopefully that the IDF finds these hostages. Here are the families of the two hostages where their video was published by Hamas just a couple days ago, Omri Miran and Keith Siegel. They're just saying there's no more time. We really need to bring them back. And we see here the days, this is a couple days ago, 205 days and hours, minutes and seconds. They're just begging or demanding that their family members come home from Gaza. On the left, there's an opinion article saying that Hamas's success in the last few months, really in the international arena and the campuses and their popularity that's just increasing, it raised the self-confidence of Sinwar, holding strong the hostages like a modern pharaoh, right? And they're saying his self-confidence was never low anyway, but he's very prestigious right now. He's very popular. And it's a critical article against Netanyahu, saying Netanyahu is not making much decisions the last few weeks, It's not for talks and it's not for operations, and he's kind of in the middle. And this is also helping Sinwal's name to rise up. Rega lifnei hateom, a moment before the abyss of Israel. This article is explaining how saying yes to this negotiation deal that's put together mainly by Egypt together with Israel, doesn't matter that it's not the best deal, but Israel should say yes to this. They're saying Netanyahu has done many mistakes, now he has time to fix them. It will help Israel from the abyss it's about to roll down into. And they're speaking about the neighboring countries not being on Israel's side if they don't say yes to this offer. And Israel needs the neighboring countries, including the US and others. And it says, yes, there could be that we need to continue to demolish Hamas. And yes, the hostage deal could be much, much better, a better one. But from a strategic level, it's much more important to create an a regional ally against Iran, and Iran, which is the head of the snake of the axis of evil. Here in red, Davka Israel, does it have to be Israel that's fighting Hamas, the most murderous mutation there is of the jihad, that throughout the years Hamas has been launching rockets and missiles on civilians, civil population in Israel. So does it have to be Israel that's blamed for committing these crimes? Has the world gone crazy? In the article, the author is writing how we thought the world would understand and the world was fighting terror. The war against terror has failed around the world because the Taliban went back to rule in Afghanistan, and Iran has increased her control and her effect. But Israel, unlike the US and France, Britain, or Canada, cannot allow herself to lose this battle. We can't trust the world to defend us. We need to trust ourselves, he says that how we in Israel need to be unified, standing together, fighting the terror together, not relying on others to do it for us. Turning the page to the next article, two reservists fell in battle during the Passover holiday. Kalkidan from Ethiopia and Ido were killed in the Netzarim corridor. Kalkidan made Aliyah on his own from Ethiopia to Israel, and his mom got the tragic news of his death. And Ido is a surfboard instructor. He refused to go on a family trip during the war. He says, no, I'm staying to fight. He was out for a break, and he went back Saturday evening back to the battlefield, and he fell. It says that the IDF is opening up an investigation. It's not clear what had happened. The building that they were in central Gaza Strip blew up while they were inside. May their memory be blessed. The next article down here is about administrative arrest against 5 far-right activist Jews that committed crimes against Palestinians. They have been committing crimes against Palestinians since the murder of Binyamin Achimeir, who was the shepherd, the 14-year-old Jewish boy shepherd, who was murdered in Judea and Samaria. Well, some far-right activists are just committing crimes against Palestinians as revenge, and the IDF is arresting them, saying, no, you cannot act this way. Sakana belev Kalkilia. This is also Judea and Samaria. Chazit Ayosh, the front of Judea and Samaria. By the way, Ayosh is short for Ezor, Yehuda, and Shomron. It's an acronym of Judea and Samaria. So there's a danger in the heart of Kalkilia. Kalkilia is one of the quiet Arab Muslim towns in Israel, but they're saying this silence is deceiving and it's not quiet at all. There's actually a certain terrorist that has been gathering more and more people on his side, Muslim Palestinians on his side, saying, we will fortify Kalkilia, we will not allow the IDF to enter, and then we will go out and commit terror attacks around Gush Dan, or the Tel Aviv area of Israel. So this article is about the successful operation thwarting that attempt and taking control over the chaos that was about to burst out not so far from Tel Aviv and Kfar Saba, because Judea and Samaria are kind of tucked in there in the middle of Israel. So this is very, very important. The alam, the general that is in charge of this area, says, I'm not sleeping in the nights. I'm feeling a heavy responsibility, personal responsibility over the 270,000 lives in my area and another million Israelis in the Gush Dan area that's surrounding Tel Aviv. I'll do everything in my ability to protect the region of Israel that I'm in charge of. So this was a very important operation that ended successfully in the middle of Israel. Okay, the northern front. It says, Od Chag lo shaket batzafon, another holiday that's not quiet in the north. And dozens of rockets and aerial vehicles and anti-tank missiles towards IDF bases and towards other villages in the northern Galilee. Civilian homes were hit as well in Shtula and Metula. Hamas took responsibility for some of these launches, and they're explaining here that day 207 of the war in the northern border. And of course, the IDF is attacking back southern Lebanon. Here we see it. And last, in the back of the newspaper, where usually, soft and nice news is, it's called Matok Marir. Matok means sweet, Marir means bitter, so you can say bitter sweet. This is about celebrating the second holiday of Passover. Yesterday, you do it with it's called a mimuna. You celebrate the freedom and the end of Passover. You eat all these traditional, very much yeasty foods, meaning with lots of flour, and they're usually fried in deep oil, and they're sweet. That's the sweet part. And the marir, the bitter part, is that like all of the holidays, and I'm reading, since October 7th, the Mimuna celebrations yesterday also felt different. Because on the side of the rejoicing of the holiday, many families and people left an empty chair for hostages, and lots of evacuees from the northern part of Israel and from the south part of Israel hope that next year they'll be celebrating in their homes. So we see here in the photos vigils, just remembering the hostages alongside the celebrations of the Mimuna. And I can tell you, just from personal experience in our town where we live, some families decided not to celebrate with music, just to remember the hostages. And others did, saying that the music, we're choosing the music to be like prayers for the return of the hostages. With specific songs were chosen. Here it reads, Mechakim lahem, waiting for them. These specific chairs are reserved. It says, I can read, the small chairs reserved for the Bibas family's children. And we know this family is in captivity, and they have the youngest children that are held in Hamas, the Bibas family that's well known all across the world. Okay, for more updates, for more stories, go to allisrael.com, share this video with your friends, like it if you like it, and follow us on our social media. This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.